So Amy has been working on the species at risk and biodiversity team at Coastal Action since the summer of 2020 and was promoted to project coordinator in April 2021. She has a BSc in biology from Acadia with co-op and a BASc in ecosystem management, majoring in fish and wildlife management from Lethbridge College. She is now called Lethbridge Polytechnic. I didn't know that. Amy has over 8 years of experience working in various fields in the biological and conservation sciences, including with working with at-risk and invasive aquatic and terrestrial species on the East Coast and the prairies of Alberta. So I'm not seeing you yet, Amy. So are you have trouble turning on your video?
Yes, I'm having the same problem as Sherry had with about the host, um,
Oh,
the video being disabled by host. Oh, there we go.
okay. So
Perfect. Thank you, probably Evan.
yes, thanks, Evan. Thank you. I don't know why that's happening, but and so do you want to share your screen, please?
Absolutely.
I think it's coming on here. Okay, we can see it and we can hear you, and I'll just finish the introduction. So Amy is going to tell us about eDNA monitoring and provide us with some angling tips too. So I added that part, Amy. Amy, go ahead, take the floor.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Yeah, so the presentation, as Ken just mentioned, is on aquatic invasive eDNA monitoring. So this follows up with what Sherry, the pilot project that Sherry was just discussing, and boat electrofishing that we've been doing. For those of you who don't know Coastal Action, we are a charitable environmental organization based in Mi'kma'ki, down on the south shore of Nova Scotia, out of Mahone Bay. And but we do work all over Atlantic Canada. We started up in 1993, and we have 5 different teams, and I am a project coordinator on the Species at Risk and Biodiversity team. So today I'll be talking about our aquatic invasive species removals, so particularly the removal of chain pickerel and smallmouth bass in the Petite Riviere watershed here in Nova Scotia. And in 2025, we also went to Newfoundland and removed goldfish from a pond. And as already mentioned, we'll be talking about the results from the Invasive Species Council eDNA monitoring program, which took place for us in the Petite Riviere and Lahave River watersheds here in Nova Scotia on the South Shore. So firstly, the bass and pickerel removals out of the Petite Riviere watershed. The Petite Riviere is home to the endangered Atlantic whitefish, and they are huge threat to the species. The Atlantic whitefish is only found in this watershed, and particularly they're surviving in 3 of the lakes seen on the map here in all of the world. This is the only place that they are remaining in the world. So it's very important for managing them and removing one of their biggest threats. So in 2025, we did targeted removals through boat electrofishing. And then we also had some incidental removals through some of our other activities that were going on in the watershed through passive fish traps. So those include like rotary screw traps for smote wheels, fyke nets, and a fishway trap. And then we did some opportunistic angling, which was not funded in 2025, but has been funded in the past, and hopefully will be again in the future. So sorry, I can't be talking too much about that, but we that is something that we do just to try to help while we're out and about. Oh, and actually, this is a photo of a chain pickerel that had 3 juvenile Atlantic whitefish in its stomach. So yes, they're quite vicious. So focusing on boat electrofishing, We've been doing, Coastal Action has been doing this for quite a while now. We took over from DFO's efforts back in 2019 and have been conducting this every summer in the Atlantic Whitefish Lakes during the summer and at nighttime when Atlantic whitefish are not expected to be around in the heat of the summer along the shoreline, shallow shorelines of the lake. They are expected to be in the cold, deep sections of the lake. We are contracted by Fisheries and Oceans and also use DFO's electrofishing boats, which is pictured here. And yeah, we go out at nighttime. It's often calmer at night and there's greater visibility. There's LED lights mounted to the boat, so it helps our visibility. And we have set locations that we fish every year. And so basically there are booms with anodes attached, and this creates an electric field with the cathodes, so the anodes and cathodes, and creates and then we send an electric current in the water, which creates an attraction zone to draw fish in and up towards the front of the boat, where we have netters standing and are able to scoop them and then put them in a live well filled with fresh oxygenated water from the lake. And there, then we can sort the invasive fish from the native fish and put the native fish back in the area of the lake where we caught them, and then retain the invasive fish. Here's an example of a chain pickerel that we captured during this method, and on the left shows where the netters stand on a spooky foggy night. So in 2025, this method resulted in a removal of over 1,600 smallmouth bass and over 1,000 chain pickerel. And I just added the numbers from some of the other species, or from the other methods, the non-targeted methods that we used. So out of those various passive fish traps, we got 41 bass and over 100 chain pickerel. And then our opportunistic angling, mostly we got bass, but the effort for angling was very, very little. And the passive fish traps were not set out to capture invasives. So the numbers are quite low, but just provides another opportunity to remove them. And boat electrofishing happened over 20 nights. And then we had an exciting opportunity. We were contracted by DFO in Newfoundland, so the AIS Integrated Planning Team, supported by NCP. And so we did a pilot project there to test if boat electrofishing would be feasible and effective in Link Pond, Massey Drive, which is near Corner Brook on the west coast of Newfoundland. They had tried various methods in this pond. It's just like a small lake, but they've tried various methods with not a ton of success. Over various methods and a few weeks over the summer, last summer, they were only able to get around 60 or so fish, goldfish out of the lake. And so they thought, they heard, actually, I think Sarah Kingsbury connected them to us, and we were able to borrow an electrofishing boat from the Gulf region, because this lake had didn't have a boat launch and had trouble accessing it with our usual electrofishing boat provided by DFO. And this is called a Franken boat. So you're able to use it without a boat launch and able to build it at the lakeside. So we picked up the boat from DFO Gulf and brought it to Newfoundland, and we had a lot of success with this method, which was surprising. From what we've heard, goldfish and koi are very difficult to electrofish. But we had much success at this location. And we, over essentially there were 4 days. The first day was set up, and so essentially over 4 days of fishing, which also weren't full days due to weather and new boat to us, new habitat, and trying to get the right settings to adjust for the fish. We removed over 1,400 goldfish. So we were extremely happy with those results. And our average catch per unit effort was 5.7 goldfish per minute. And our very best catch per unit effort at a site was 12.5 goldfish per minute. So yeah, tons of goldfish. There's still a lot left, but it did feel like we made quite a good dent in the population, and hope to return to continue the efforts. Actually, I should show this pictures of our team here, and the trailer, which enclosed the boat. And then some more photos of the varying sizes of the goldfish that we caught. So I think our largest was about 24 centimeters at fork length, so under a foot, but all the way down to the young of the year fish that fit on the tip of my finger, which you can see in the bottom right photo. The picture on the back of the DFO truck of the bagged fish, that was a day's worth of captures. And then us with the DFO team in Newfoundland, and me holding one of the larger size goldfish. We were quite surprised too in the variation in colors. Should go back to boat electrofishing. Boat electrofishing does have its it's not a be all end all. It is limited in its scope because it doesn't really work in really deep waters. So this in Lake Pond, it was perfect. It was quite a shallow pond. It was quite deep in the middle, but most of it was shallow enough for this to be effective. Whereas the Whitefish Lakes are extremely deep and extremely big, and we're only able to fish along certain shorelines. So it's not an eradication method, I should say. But hopefully we're making a dent and doing something. Over 1,000 of each species removed from the lakes every year, hopefully is doing something. Hopefully we can figure out additional things to add on to that to boost that up. But I feel like it's at least better than nothing. Try to kind of maintain recruitment of those species. Okay, I'll move on to the Invasive Species Council, the eDNA sampling we did as part of that pilot project that Sherry was mentioning. So coastal action, we chose Fancy Lake and Menamke Lake in the Petite Riviere watershed. So these are, Menamke Lake is part of the Whitefish Critical Habitat, and Fancy Lake is just outside the critical habitat, but connected to it. It's just below Heb Lake. And in recent years, or I should say, Church, Sucker, and Wenzel's Lake are all in the Lahave River. And Coastal Action does quite a bit of work in that watershed as well with Atlantic salmon. And there's also presence of brook floater in the Lahave as well. It's one of the spots that at risk. It's another species at risk, brook floater. And it exists in the Lahave River watershed as well. So these are two extremely important watersheds here on the South Shore. And unfortunately, there have been some recent detections in the last year or so. So in Fancy Lake, there is a detection of koi, and it was confirmed by Inland Fisheries in 2025. And then pond loach also was detected in the Lahave watershed in the last year. And so these are new AIS of concern. As well, our main, so these are the kind of main invasives of concern that we were looking for. But of course, part of this project was early detection of many different species. So yeah, these things that we know are present, but we wanted to find more distribution of, um, and just kind of see what our baseline is for them. And then Menanke Lake is one of the three, it's the only one of the three whitefish lakes that doesn't currently contain chain pickerel. But we have had concerns over the years of there is a dam between Menanke Lake and the other whitefish critical habitat. But when flooding events occur and through potential other connectivity areas, that is a concern that chain pickerel will spread there. So that was one of the big things we wanted to test for. Um, so in terms of results, we were very happy. So on the very bottom, a little bit to the left, is Menanke Lake. So there were no chain pickerel detected in that lake or Sucker Lake in the LaHave. So we were extremely happy about that. We have, as I mentioned earlier about boat electrofishing, we did boat electrofishing in Menanke Lake, and we haven't detected them through that method, but it's it's limited. We went to limited areas, and it's just really amazing to through eDNA to confirm that observation of no pickerel. There was one eDNA, only one eDNA sample in the past through our partnership with Dalhousie that maybe there was a possible detection of chain pickerel near the dam. So that was another concern for us was, was that a real detection or not? So this was very, very good news that there wasn't any pickerel detected in Menanke. And Sucker Lake is a stocked lake and recreational fishing, and it flows into Big Musqueamish Lake, which is a highly cottaged lake with lots of recreational activities. So that's just one that we chose for as a vector for AIS transmission. All of the lakes we chose for different reasons. I'll go back to the previous slide. I already mentioned about Fancy and Menanke relating to whitefish. But other lakes, we chose areas that were lakes that are high in reasons for potential AIS spread or introduction. So like Sucker and Wenzel's lakes, they do have a lot of recreational fishing. There's a rod and gun club right on Wenzel's Lake. It's right beside the highway, and lots of recreational activity. So there's just lots of opportunity to introduce or spread invasives there. And Church Lake has an aerodome for floater planes. So we thought that one was interesting, and also has like a public boat launch. So those are some of the reasons we chose those lakes. Smallmouth bass were in every single lake that we tested. That is not surprising, but yeah, that was one of the results. Goldfish were also tested in each of the lakes, and as well as swamp crayfish, and we were very happy to see that there are no detections of either of those species in any of the lakes that and any of the sites that we sampled. This is very good news in terms of early detection. We're still waiting back on some results, but those are the results we have so far. There's so many great benefits to our current projects as well as informing future projects. This project has given us a nice baseline and to get a better understanding of, or like confirm our knowledge of the current presence and spread of the species in these areas. And we typically work in the same lake systems within the watersheds. So this helped us expand our AIS exploration in our local area. And I already mentioned about how the new detections of koi and pond loach last year. So knowing their current distribution and early detection of potential additional species of concern are very important to give more of a holistic approach to our invasive species and watershed management strategies. That could inform things like decisions on restoring connectivity, for example. We might not want to restore connectivity if it's going to create connectivity from an area that doesn't have AIS to an area that does. We are continuing our Atlantic salmon work in the Lahey River and whitefish work in the Petite Riviere. So incorporating the AIS management and based on these results is really important. And we would like to add in floater surveys in the future. We've applied for funding to do so. So this will also help inform that. And it's always good to get a baseline of where we're at now. And as Sherry mentioned, it's so important to get to these things early. And eDNA is a great way of doing that. Yeah, I think that's it for me. And I just wanted to say that Sherry and Sarah were so amazing with that pilot project and in prepping us for that. And they were so organized, and Sherry had everything set up and with the gear organization and getting it from each partner and decontaminating it in between. Yeah, they're amazing and made it as easy as possible for us to do that project.
Great presentation, Amy. Thank you so much. And my reference to angling tips was like I just wanted to learn more about the electrofishing. So things like
Okay, there you go.
that it works better, in shallower areas and things like that. I wasn't aware of that, and didn't really realize either that eradication wasn't, a reasonable goal, but certainly trying to manage it makes a lot of sense, and it's pretty impressive how many fish you pull out. Just before other questions, just wondering, is there, like, for instance, in Newfoundland, when you were in that body of water there, you talked about the averages and the fish per minute, I think it was, and also the highest fish per minute. But were you seeing the amount of fish that you were pulling out of there declining significantly as time went on? Like the rate declining significantly?
We were only fishing for 4 days, so it was hard to say. And this was the first year of doing this, and it was a pilot. We weren't sure. DFO wasn't sure if this was even going to be feasible at this location with this method. So it really was kind of an experiment to see if it was feasible. And so we were trialing some different methods of doing that. So that 12.5 fish per minute was kind of that was due to one of the methods that we used, which created a better situation for getting them. So yeah, so we're trialing different methods. So it's hard to say if they decrease. I don't think we saw a decrease in that time. But also the weather really makes a difference. And we were experimenting with different times of day. And some days were overcast, some days were sunny. So that can definitely impact our results. So no, it's a really good question. Hopefully, if we get to go back year after year, maybe we'll be able to tell that.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So just Evan, can you check to see on the availability of the Q&A? Sounds like some people might be having trouble entering questions there. We do have a question for you though. It says, I might have missed this information, but how are the invasive species euthanized?
Oh, that's a good question. The goldfish in Newfoundland, we used, they're small enough that we're able to use clove oil. So mixed some clove oil in with water and added them there, and they just fall asleep. And then in the petite, we use a couple different methods, but just anything we have such large fish in large numbers, and um, so we do everything that's as quickly as possible. So whether that's it's gonna kind of gruesome, but like slicing the gills, or giving a quick solid bonk to the head,
Mhm.
knocks them out really fast. Just whatever we can do that's as quick as possible. It depends on the size of the fish. Smaller fish are a lot easier. So there's kind of different methods.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Thank you. So Sherry is saying she doesn't have access to Q&A. So perhaps what we could do here is just if people want to put their hands up, given that there's a problem, and we'll try and take a few more questions that way.
I think it has to do with being a presenter because I wasn't able to use the Q&A.
Right.
I could only use it to answer, but I couldn't use it to
Right.
do questions earlier.
Well, Evan says settings are set. And Anna was able to get in there just to say thank you for the answer. So
Oh, nice.
perhaps we'll leave it at that, Amy. Thanks so much.